There are so many types of tomato plants, and it gets a bit confusing as to which type is best to grow in your garden. So one of the questions that I get a lot is, should I grow a determinate or an indeterminate tomato? So today I'd like to share with you the difference between the determinate and the indeterminate tomato plants and which is best for your growing situation. So both types are really great tomatoes, and you can eat them fresh, you can can them, you can dry these tomatoes from either type. So you don't have to consider, well, am I getting a cherry tomato or whatever? And they can also be grown together in the same garden. So the difference really is where you grow them and when you want to harvest. So you can get a determinate or an indeterminate. You can get those in cherry, sauce tomatoes, slicers, all the different colors. All right, so let's start with a determinate tomato. So these tomato plants are typically untrimmed and are very bushy. They grow between 3 to 5 feet tall, and they like to flower and put on fruit all at once. They're great for canning because you get most of the fruit all at once. Now, most people believe that they are one crop and then they are done fruiting, but I've grown them past the first flush of fruit, and they will actually flush again, but there's just a break in the blooming and the fruiting. So if you live in a long summer season climate, you can grow multiple plantings of determinate tomatoes, and this will keep you in tomatoes all summer. Now, if you live in a cold climate, you may only get one flush of tomatoes, but it will load you up with tomatoes, and that may be as long as your season is. You may just get the one flush. Now, determinate tomatoes are great for small gardens and containers because they're just a little more compact, and we will typically grow them in a cage and unpruned and not trellised. So I will not prune any of the suckers off my determinate tomato plants. And this makes a determinate tomato plant a little bit less maintenance. And once in a while, you're actually going to find a semi-determinate tomato plant in the seed catalogs. And these are a cross between the determinate and the indeterminate. So this type of tomato plant is not as tall as the indeterminate type, but it is not as compact as the determinate type. It can also produce fruit throughout the whole season, but it's going to be a little less productive than an indeterminate type towards the fall. Now, this type can work well in a small garden or in containers in a tomato cage. All right, so the indeterminate type of tomato plant will keep growing and fruiting as long as it's growing. They will produce a steady supply of tomatoes throughout the growing season. And I've even heard of tomato plants that produce tomatoes for 7 years. So these plants are great for trellising and growing as a single stem. And they can reach lengths of up to 15 feet. And I grow around 400 indeterminate tomato plants for our CSA and our farmers market. So if you would like to see us grow a combination of 36 determinate and indeterminate tomato plants in 21 square feet, jump on over to the High Performance Garden Show. It's free and online, and you can watch us grow these tomato plants every week, week after week, for their entire growing season. So I'll put that link to the show and to the 36 tomatoes in 21 square feet video. I'm going to put that in the description below so you can jump over there and watch that. So you'll need to decide which tomato type that you want to grow, and you'll need to decide how many tomatoes you want to harvest all at once, how much garden space you have, and if you want to trellis your tomato plants or just cage them. So a great way to figure out which is best for you is just to grow both and then compare the results. So if you would like to learn how to make an easy PVC tomato trellis system, you can watch our How to Build a Trellis Easy PVC Tomato System Trellis Part 1. And I'll put that link in the description below. So there's several parts, and you can watch through those and get our design for how to make an easy PVC trellis. If you want to learn more about growing tomatoes, you can jump into our Tomato Success playlist, and you can find it right here.